Hi everyone, Dario here. Today we're going to talk about a completely different subject than your usual standard review, and we're going to talk about my productivity setup when we're talking and taking into consideration productivity. Now, I've been doing this for quite some time, aiming to separate my peripherals for gaming and for productivity, just because I like different types of keyboards when typing and different types of keyboards while gaming, and the same thing goes for the mouse. Now today I learned something else, and that this mousepad right here that I have is going to be definitely used in my second setup that I'll be doing quite shortly, and it's going to be the Logitech Desk Mat because it kind of fits nicely with MX Keys Mini and MX Master 3. Now this desk mat is something completely different compared to the G840 because the G840 does have stitch edges and it looks like a completely different material here on top than the G840, but that's for gaming. Today we're talking about productivity. At the bottom we have quite nice rubber base, nice stitching going all around the desk mat, and it's quite nice in size because, for instance, here I have a complete desk covered with my mousepad, which is quite huge. It's 120 x 60, but this one will be quite nice, subtle, and just enough space for those two peripherals. Now, since I mentioned the other part, here we have the MX Keys Mini and MX Master 3. Now, for the productivity, it's something that I'm aiming for simplicity in some sort of a context where I had the Craft keyboard way before the MX Keys Mini, and the one thing that was somewhat bothering me wasn't the typing, wasn't the knob on the left side. It was actually pretty handy, as you might have thought about it, but in some way I don't prefer longer keyboards, and the MX Keys Mini, when it came out, it was just something that I just needed to have, and this is where it started for me with aiming to get additional keyboard for productivity. Now, the keyboard gives you a seamlessly typing with a bit of a dents in each keycap, which gives you a more precise typing without any mistakes while typing on each key. Also, the cool thing about it is you can adjust the brightness, of course, like on any keyboard that has backlight, but the backlight shuts off if you go away from your desk or you move your hands from your keyboard, and it automatically turns on when you place your hands closer to the keyboard, so you don't even have to press any buttons. This is the proximity sensor that is installed in the MX Keys Mini, and which gives you somewhat even more battery life because it saves the battery. When we're talking about the battery, it really does last long, and in terms of usage, when it comes to let's say 10 or 15%, you have an indication light that starts blinking red and the backlight switches off. So I would say somewhat a smart backlight for sure. Now, it's already tilted, so as you can see, it has at the bottom 5 rubber feet and it has a slight tilt, but when you're typing it doesn't have any flex because the chassis is really nicely designed, so when you type you don't actually have a feeling that you're going to break the keyboard, and that's also very important. And when we're talking about the individual experience of the actual keyboard, you have loads of layouts, but for what I encountered, you have the US International with big enter on the side, and you have this one that I have right here with small enter and the lettering going above the enter button, but that's all up to region and what actually suits you best. The cool thing with everything, the shortcuts are quite easy to actually access. With the FN button you have the brightness adjustment, dictation mode, emojis, you have even the possibility to screenshot it quite easily with FN and F8, which you can use to circle whatever you need. Then we have the mute microphone button, play, pause, and of course sound adjustments like mute, lower or raise volume. There's a possibility to lock FN button, and there's a possibility to lock the keyboard, most likely to lock the Windows button. Now, you have a possibility to use it with a bolt receiver. And now the only downside with this keyboard is that you don't get a bolt receiver with this one. That's why the MX Master 3 for Business comes in play. MX Master 3 for Business comes with bolt receiver. So if you go with this package, let's put it that way, you can pair them up with a bolt receiver, which gives much better signal, less latency, and great connectivity than your standard unifying receiver. And I don't have to even mention the Bluetooth, even though in these couple of weeks I've been using both peripherals through Bluetooth and I didn't have any issues, which is quite outstanding, of course. Taking into consideration that the keyboard is already bolt prepared, I think you'll go with that option before going with Bluetooth. Unless you're going with a laptop, then I think Bluetooth would be much suitable option, just to have more options and more free space on your ports. And now talking about the MX Master 3, and I think you already seen my past review, but this is more like the best productivity that I encountered in a couple of weeks of usage, giving me some insights about how this set can actually work. Now, with the MX Master 3, what's really cool in my productivity setup is, first of all, the whole hand, the whole palm fits perfectly. Left and right click, just perfect. You have a scroll wheel with mag speed, and this is quite insane because you can scroll normally with 3 lines, or you can adjust additionally in your software. And if you decide to check out some longer documents, you can just slide the scroll wheel and it just goes into mag speed. You can stop it by touching the scroll wheel and it automatically stops at that position that you decided, or well, basically on the position that you are currently on. The cool thing, you have a side scroll wheel as well, which for me in DaVinci Resolve is really handy while editing the document, because I don't have to move the cursor. I just have to move the timeline to access each video, each clip, and similar stuff. Right beneath it you have 2 shortcuts, well, basically 2 additional buttons, which are really handy, and right next to the thumb, so the access to the left side of the mouse is insanely nice, because scroll wheel is right on top of your finger. Then you can access the 2 additional buttons, and you have additional button at the thumb rest, which is also quite handy. Basically, when using the mouse, your hand is actually relaxing, and the only thing that is on the table or on the desk mat is your little finger. So yeah. But here we go. Next to that, next to everything that I mentioned so far, the Logitech Flow allows you and enables you to move 2 or even 3 different operating systems. Or for instance, you have a laptop, you have a PC with Windows operating system, and you have a Mac. You connect them with each of those, and you just slide through the windows going left, right, or whatever, and the mouse as well as the keyboard follow wherever you go. So if you move the mouse from one operating system to another, the keyboard follows without any issues. At the bottom you have 3 actually important things that you need to know. You have an on-off switch, optical sensor, and you have a button to switch between 3 different devices. Well, since I mentioned pairing up the device and everything else, you have on F1, F2 and F3 very easy access to switch between devices, even though, as I stated, Logitech Flow enables you to seamlessly work to all operating systems, giving you a possibility basically to easy connect by pressing the button that is still free and doesn't have an operating system connected for 3 seconds, and gives you a pairing option. Now, all in all, it's just so quite easy to use it. Very nice typing compared to some other keyboards that I tested and used. There are no restrictions, and I really enjoyed working with this keyboard, basically giving me more space for the mouse and more movements. And even though some of you might say you can raise your DPI, but then again, this is what I'm currently used to, and the mouse is just perfect in sense of the size and everything if I'm not on the go. Since COVID and everything else happened the last 2 years, I didn't go anywhere on any events, but in any case, check this out. I have here the MX Anywhere 3, which also is for business and can be connected through bolt receiver or via Bluetooth, and that's also cool. Now, what I would say with MX Anywhere 3 is the thing that it's definitely designed for people that have smaller hands. MX Master 3 is a bit too big. you're losing the scroll wheel, but what you're gaining is the max speed scroll wheel. You do have it, you have additional button beneath it, and you have 2 additional side buttons. At the bottom you have an on-off switch, and also the same way to connect the MX Anywhere 3 with other operating system. I mean, this combination is okay. If you need a numerical pad, you can always go with MX keys or Craft, but all in all, this is what gives me the pleasure to work, to create, and basically, yeah, when I see that on my table and when I work with these products, you might find it funny, but really gives me joy to actually work on this keyboard and on this mouse, and this one will definitely be used on the go, because check this out, it's quite slimmer than the MX Master, even though the productivity with the MX Master is much faster, especially in DaVinci Resolve, when I can slide the timeline easily and seamlessly without even thinking that, okay, I have to put the cursor right here to access this part of the clip or something like that. It gives me more freedom of just going through the whole clip, checking it out, editing or whatever. So guys, it's a bit of a different approach to my video, because this is definitely my setup for 2022, and it will be for quite some time, I do have to say. So yeah, hope you like the new theme of the videos. So if this is something that interests you, and since I'm quite satisfied with all the products that I'm using constantly for my productivity, I'll put the links below for the Logitech MX Keys Mini, the MX Master 3 since I'm using it constantly, Logitech Desk Mat, and finally, if you want a travel mouse that is quite still handy, it does have quite nice performance in terms of Logitech Flow. You have multiple connections and you still have the max speed scroll wheel, MX Anywhere 3. Finally, if you're new to the channel, if you want to see some more of my content, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button for supporting the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss those future videos. Next time we will be talking about my ultimate gaming setup when we're talking about peripherals, since yeah, I do have 2 different setups, so that will be also a separated video for you guys to check out quite shortly. Stay tuned and thanks for watching today's one. See you next time. Bye bye.